can always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending. All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
Powered by Rev Media in partnership with TSN, it is Season 7 of the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. The Tim's NHL Hockey Challenge is back. It's thriving in the Tim Hortons app. You have a chance to win daily and monthly prizes for picking players who you think will score. Plus, there's a chance to win a new Hyundai Tucson as part of the grand prize at the end of the year. Canadians can also try and keep a 7-day streak alive and win a free coffee or tea for a week. Check it out, timhortons.ca, for a full list of prizes. All right, as you can see, Ray, I'm still in Florida. It's not sunny Florida. The weather is improving, but heading back to the greater Toronto area with the GM's meetings concluding on Wednesday. You can't have a real successful GM meeting without having a Billy Guerin story. And you love the Billy Guerin stories. I know that.
He's an he even when he doesn't try to entertain, he just entertains. It's just, he's a walking character. He really is.
I hope you find this as amusing as I did, but it certainly fits the character of Billy Guerin. So Tuesday, the meetings wrap up. We get our work done. I, of course, head down to the pool bar area, right? Because normally there's a half a dozen, maybe more general managers. And, you socialize, you have a good time. It's one of the few times over the course of the year where you do get to have just conversation with these guys, right? And they all got great personalities, so I enjoy it. Billy Guerin isn't there, and he's always one of the guys that holds court. Then all of a sudden, maybe an hour in, here comes Billy. And Billy, where were you? He goes, there's a Vespa dealer not far from here. So he said, I went and bought 2 Vespas, and I'm getting them shipped back to Minnesota. So he went around the entire pool area to show everybody these Vespas that he bought for himself and his wife to cruise around Mini, I guess. He says it's been a lifelong dream to own these Vespas.
So is this the only Vespa store in North America? Like, was there a reason that, like that? I'm thinking, like, did he probably walked by the place and he was like, oh, this is it. I gotta get in here. But he's a big man to get on a Vespa, no?
I don't know. When he bought this amped up one, this thing goes like 80 miles an hour. So the next time we have him on the pod, but I think he actually went in there. He did the pre-scouting. I think it was supposed to be a surprise for his wife. His wife has always wanted a Vespa. So when he got in there, he's like, oh, these things are awesome. I can't just have one of them. I got to buy 2 so we can cruise around. Yeah. So they were getting crated up to ship to Minnesota yesterday being Wednesday. And then obviously they'll drive them for the summer. And I think they have a place in Arizona, which they frequent during the winter when he has time. So then he's going to crate them back up and ship them to Arizona for the winter. So he's going to be a busy and proud Vespa owner, Billy Guerin.
Yeah, I hope he's got the appropriate clothing, something flashy, like that just shows his Minnesota style or whatever. Billy doesn't even have style, does he? Like, he's just like
quick wit. That's what he's got. He's got an incredible sense of humor. All right. Well, there's a lot to talk about. So let's get into the headlines brought to us by the Canadian Brewhouse. Hey, real fans know the move. Arrive early. Happy hour at the Canadian Brewhouse runs Monday to Saturday, 2 to 6 p.m., starting at $3.99. You can skip the couch, hit the Canadian Brewhouse, your home for every puck drop, every goal, every cheer. With ice cold drinks, massive screens, and the best fans in town this hockey season, their house, the Canadian Brewhouse, is your arena. Some interesting games to talk about, but I mean, this week has been all about what's been going on at the GM meetings, and it didn't get any discussion here. But I did want your thoughts on Jack Hughes. coming out as boldly as he did, calling out the Hockey Hall of Fame for taking the overtime winning puck. He wants the puck. You know, he said it's BS that they just took the puck. He wanted to give it to his father, Jim, who you and I know very well. He says, look, I'm not a memorabilia guy. I don't manage keepsakes very well. So he was annoyed, to say the least. The Hall of Fame then bounced back, Phil Pritchard, and said, yeah, sorry, Jack, but the easiest way to explain it to you is the puck doesn't belong to you. And there was a paper trail that shows that the puck was donated to the Hockey Hall of Fame. So before you respond, Jack, by the way, tried to clear it up one more time Wednesday night, you know, explaining his position on why he wants the puck and actually what happened.
And I'm going to fire the clip here, Dregs, but a heads up, somebody chirped in the background, so the whole scrum laughed. They're not laughing at Hughes' answer. Here you go.
Okay, you're right.
Listen, like, obviously honored that the puck's there. So, yeah, I mean, I mean, it's like the most special place in hockey. So, yeah, I mean, I'm honored that it's there, but obviously I think things were taken, you know, crazy. Like, just that's the way I felt. And I didn't know where the puck was, so it is what it is.
Okay, it is what it is. I mean, I guess we just have to let this go, right? I mean, the Hockey Hall of Fame is full of incredible artifacts from incredible players of the past, and I can appreciate why they would want hands on the overtime Olympic winning puck. Why wouldn't they?
Sure. I mean, like I hear a story like this, and honestly, the first thought is like that I have is I don't care. I think the puck should go to the Hall of Fame. I could see why he would want it, and or however it came out that he said he would like the puck, and then it creates this little dust up for a couple of days, and
yes,
and it ends up at the Hall of Fame. Like I don't think Jack's selfish. I don't think the Hall of Fame's wrong. I'm like, it ended up where it's supposed to end up. And if there was a pothole in the road to get there, well, that's just the way it is. I've been, you know, you've been to the Hall of Fame. I've been there. It's awesome. It's a really cool, place. It's got some really interesting stuff that you might not even think about. And then you go look at it, and it becomes a roadmap of where hockey has gone. I really, if people haven't seen it and they're around Toronto when they get a chance, I would really recommend going to see it. It's awesome. As for this, okay, good. It's in the Hall of Fame, and it's you know, and it's done. And Jack will have, you know, I assume he's got the video, because you can only show the video in so many places and all that Olympic stuff. But the memories are there, and he deserves them, and the Hall deserves to have the puck because it's the right place.
I hope the family, Jim, Ellen, Luke, obviously Quinn, Jack, just roll their eyes and move forward, because the last thing I want is for Jack Hughes to not share his personality or his gumption. I don't want that. I don't want just vanilla answers from Jack Hughes. I want him to be pissed off and tell us that he's pissed off and explain why he is. I hope he doesn't.
Okay,
change.
so this, Drake, you just stumbled into something that is it's a pet peeve of mine. It drives me crazy, and it is when fans and media complain about players having no personality, and somebody shows personality, then they don't like the personality. Like, then just go sit behind your rock and just watch the games. Like, having personality means that you're gonna evoke an emotion somewhere. But if you want more personality in the game, then that's the way it goes. But it doesn't have to become like, there were some comments made about how selfish he is, and like he like, but in a tone that was really aggressive. And I'm like, that's not what this is about. Somebody asked him, where's the puck? He wants the puck. He said he wanted the puck, and
Yeah.
It's in the Hall of Fame. Like that's it. Jack is a great character in the game. He really is.
He
And
is.
the more personality that we have in the game, the better it is. It really is. But you can't complain that you want personality and then you get it and you don't like that personality. Like
Right. Right.
that's not in my mind, that's not how it should work. Then just zip it.
Agreed. All right. Some of the news coming out of the Florida meetings, the general managers meetings. The GM spent the better part, Ray, well, 2 days for sure in meetings, talking about the framework of changes that need to be made to allow 19-year-olds to play in the American Hockey League. Now, just so fans know, viewers know, right now those players, provided they're playing in the Canadian Hockey League, one of the three major junior hockey leagues, have to go back to major junior if they're not playing in the National Hockey League. Now, there are exceptions, but not exceptions related to the CHL. Like Protas, his younger brother is a 19-year-old playing in the American Hockey League, but he came up through the USHL, right? So we haven't got all of the details. Like, is every NHL club going to be allowed one 19-year-old to play in the American League? Is it more than that? Is there a cutoff date where, if that player isn't playing, he has to go back to major junior? I know that Dan McKenzie, the president of the CHL, Bill Daly, continued to meet on Wednesday to talk about it, but I'm confident in saying 19-year-olds will be allowed to play in the American League next year. And the reason is, you would know this, as soon as the rules changed in the NCAA, all bets are off, right? Because if you're a 19-year-old, Ray, you've been drafted, doesn't matter what round, don't you want to play at the highest level of competition that you can? And maybe you don't feel that in major junior, right?
Yeah, sure. Except you still have to guard the development process. And in my mind, there is not a blanket view of what a 19-year-old is. There's going to be some 19-year-olds are going to get in the American League and they're going to get train wrecked by a 29-year-old. Like the difference in physicality and speed, and you're either ready for the NHL or you're now going to play in a league that can often be a really, really physical league, a really tough league. What I say about the development process being protected is teams, I think, will be excited to get their best 19-year-olds into the American League. And then the guy that's coaching the team, who's coaching for his job too, now he's got a 19-year-old that's not ready to play. So you're in and out of the lineup a little bit. I don't know that that's the best place for a 19-year-old. I don't know if it's the best place for anybody, but at 19, I think your development is the number of players, put it this way, that will benefit will be few.
Yeah.
I think from going to the American League. It's not the right thing for many players. Even if you're a little bit too good, let's call it that, for major junior, that's in my mind a lot better than being not quite good enough for the American League. You can give me that BS about, they get to practice against better players and all that. Good. Practice after a while stinks. You want to play, you need to play. And I think I think I like in general the idea, but it's a fine line as to guys that are ready or not.
Yeah, and you'd have to put trust in each NHL club for recognizing that, right? Yeah. I mean, we can either see in 10 American Hockey League games you're not ready for this level of play, you're going back. You're going back. I mean, you would hope that
again, that for me, that comes back to you just got to protect the path of the player.
Yeah.
And the teams, I think they generally think of that, but the pressure to get your better players up the ladder, I think can cloud decisions sometimes. And that's a really delicate, that 19, 20, 21-year-old spot of development we can see. Here's another question, Dregs. So if a player signs his entry-level contract and goes to the American League, what does that do to the ELC?
Yeah,
Does that push it a
Yeah,
year?
and I don't know that a year, and maybe that's part of what Bill Daly and I mean Dan McKenzie wouldn't really care. Maybe he would as president of the CHL, but they spent a lot of time on it. I wasn't overly surprised, but and it doesn't mean that their agenda was light here. What it means is it's such an important decision, but based on the landscape changes around the sport with the NCAA now allowing all those players, they just felt like for next year, the time is now to make the adjustment. All right. Goalie interference is always talked about. The video replay process around it is always discussed at these meetings. Doesn't mean that they're screaming for change or looking for change. There were a couple of managers who questioned the consistency of the process. Why does this goal get allowed? Very play to this one that wasn't allowed, and it's a selfish process. You would know that, right? Like, if I'm a general manager for a club and I get a goal taken back, and I can think of another example from 2 weeks ago that I feel is really similar, I'm going to raise hell. That's what I'm going to do. But the takeaway, Ray, the pushback from the league is that they insist the standard has not slipped. And they keep using the description of a snowflake, right? No two snowflakes are the same. So each goalie interference incident is unique. It's never identical or the same. So the judgment at the end of it all by the situation room and the on-ice officials isn't always going to be the same. Is that good enough for you?
I think in theory, yes. It would be nice if you could have a definitive definition that can be applied all the time. However, it's never static, right? Like there's rarely is somebody just standing in front of the goalie and there's goalie interference. Somebody's going through the crease on a screen or going in front of the crease on a screen. Defenseman makes contact. Hell, I'll give you an example. Nathan McKinnon's major penalty. I mean, it was pretty clear in the video that Darnell Nurse knocked him off track. I mean, it was a penalty for sure, but I don't think they would get full agreement on that. Like even something that was video clarified. So I don't think this process will ever get to be one that's super satisfactory for everybody. I do disagree that it's not become less clear. I think it's as muddy as it's been. I do 100 games a year. There might be, I don't know, 20 or so goalie interference challenges there's 5 of those that we got no chance. Like it is, it isn't, I'm not sure. And the real question becomes, and I don't think this is what the league wants, but it's what it happens, is that teams aren't sure exactly what really is going to be on specific plays, so they don't challenge. And so I like the video guy and the coaches, they've got to determine in that little bit of space what is or isn't. And, you're penalized if you're wrong. So in a lot of cases, I think they turn away. And I think the league has made it pretty clear that they don't want more challenges. They want less challenges for everything.
Right.
Like the less video we get, it's better for them. This goal, I do believe as well, though, as much as the league's vision of the rules and the game's as good as it's ever been, and I would agree in a lot of cases, don't ever stop trying to improve it.
No.
If there's another layer, another way to try and clarify it, then let's head towards that. I think that's important.
Well, and you just summed up the essence of what this string of 3 days of meetings is all about, right? They're not trying to reinvent anything, but they are looking at things that for many of us can be a bit eye glazing. Like, there was a run of hand passes, right? Like early in the year, you remember that actually a serious impact on the outcome of games. Well,
Yes.
why wouldn't you have that conversation, which they did, you know, in your breakout groups or whatever, just say, okay, well, is this something that we need to pay attention to moving forward? And if we do, if the answer is yes, and it was, well, let's think of ways, suggestions that
Right.
we can make it better. And they do that about,
Well, Dregs, you know
probably a dozen
this.
different things.
You know this for sure because you're around these meetings a lot. When they're sitting around and they're looking at plays that are brought to them to evaluate, do we need to look at it? When you're sitting in a boardroom, it becomes much easier to talk about the play than when it
Yeah.
happens in real time. And yes, they can go back and video review it, but there's so many different little things that can happen in the midst of a pretty similar play that change everything that they're looking at. Hockey's a hard sport. I often, I would like it to be like a lot of people officiated more consistently. And then you look and you're like, well, why did if you look, why did that call get missed, or why was it made in that particular way? You can see if you step out of it and don't have your fan hat on, you go, oh, I can see why that call was made. It doesn't mean you like it, but you can see why it happened.
By the way, shout out to Jim Nill, general manager of the Dallas Stars, who asked me as he was leaving the workout room. So nice workout. He's walking out. I passed him in the hall. I wasn't actually in the gym. I passed him
we
in
know
the
that.
hall.
We know that. Yeah.
I just put it on the tee for you. But anyway.
Yes.
And he goes, hey, just listen to the Ray and Dregs podcast. He goes, you do a nice job of keeping that Ray guy in line.
See, that's just outrageous by Jim. That's just not right.
Well, a number of those guys do listen because I do get text messages in disagreement with our opinions from time to time.
Well, nobody, it's like anything. Nobody says, hey, I really agree with your take on that.
No, fair.
They send you the other ones.
Yeah, let's get to some of the action from last night. It was great to see Sidney Crosby back after missing 11 games. They lose a tough one in overtime to Carolina, but he's got a goal and an assist there. The Ottawa Senators, we throw out the cliche must win. It is for a handful of teams. It's must win. That one left a mark, didn't it, last night?
It did.
They looked pretty good. And Travis Green postgame said he didn't mind their game. They just couldn't capitalize on their chances. So they fall 4-1 to the Washington Capitals. Logan Thompson was terrific in that game. Certainly
really
dialed
great.
in the first period. But now all of a sudden, what do you think? I mean, is Washington, they're nipping at the heels of some of these teams. The Flyers win. They're nipping. But are they too far? What are they, 6 points out? Are they too far? Ottawa's right there at 4 points.
Yeah, six doesn't feel like it's too far, except you got 15 games left. Like the path is like a tightrope. You can't. The teams that are that far back, they need to go like on a Columbus run, where when Rick took over, that they won 10 out of 11 or whatever it was, right out of the gate. Like that's what's going to be required. How about Cole Hutson scores the empty netter in his first game? Did you see a couple of those plays he made? Like though he looks, as he skates around, very similar to Lane, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like in the way, watch the way he moves his hands and stuff, and the way they always feel like they can hold the puck till there's the next play. I thought last year when I was watching Lane play that it would get to the playoffs and you would see the growth that he was going to have to take. In that series against Washington, I was like, oh my God, this guy is fantastic. Like he's the smallest guy on the ice by a lot. And he never, and sure, he gets out muscled once in a while. He gets knocked away there, but he doesn't corner himself, and they skate so well there. From what I saw last night, it like, oh boy, there's another one too. That can energize a team, by the way.
Sure.
That gives you a blast to somebody that's really, really terrific.
Well, Spencer Carberry was gushing about him
Yeah.
After the game, just said it's hard to imagine a better NHL debut than that one. Let's wrap up the Canadian Brewhouse headlines just with a thought on Leon Draisaitl, done for the regular season. Stan Moment available to the media yesterday. Just clarified. Look, he said, look, that's what the timeline is. That's what we believe. That's what we're told. No surgery required. So he's going to rehab. You don't replace a player like Leon Draisaitl. That's pretty obvious. So how big of a kick is this for the Oilers? And do you wonder about the effectiveness of Leon Draisaitl after being out that long and then assuming he's going to be ready for game one of the playoffs, stepping right into the postseason?
A couple years ago when he played with that high ankle sprain, I thought that was impossible. Remember how he was like hobbling around and he had an unbelievable playoff. I'm like, his pain threshold and ability to play around the injury was quite remarkable. If he's out now, it's obviously something that's significant enough, right? Like because he clearly played through something that most people can't a couple of years ago. So there generally is when you're, we're talking a month here, you start to worry about what it's like on the other end. And if he has to come back a little soon, what is he going to be able to do? And I mean, there's enough holes on a lot of teams, but if you take one of the best 5 or 7 players in the game and take them out of your lineup, of course it's going to leave a mark. Like they can move Ryan Nugent-Hopkins into the middle, and Nuge is a really good player, but again, we're talking about the very, very best in the league here, like in that grouping, certainly of forwards, and that'll be a tough one for the Oilers for a month here.
All right, those are your headlines. Thank you to the Canadian Brewhouse.
It feels like Tim Hortons has always been part of my routine, certainly as a dad. As a coach or taking my kids to the early morning hockeys, had to go through the drive-thru and get my cup of coffee and get the Timbits for the kids. Can I get a medium coffee with milk, please? Then even driving into studio now at TSN. If I don't go through the drive-thru, get my medium coffee with milk, I feel like my routine has been interrupted.
Here's your coffee.
Thank you.
Have a great day, guys.
You too. Only way to start a day.
All right, time for Ask Ray and Dregs Anything. We'll bring in Ryan Rashog to entertain us, enlighten us, educate us on all the questions and comments that have been flying nonstop our way over the last couple of days. So what's got you going today, Rish?
Hello, boys. Nice to see you. Okay, we're going to start with Jimbo Slice on Twitter, who hits us up with this, responded to our Ask Ray and Dregs tweet. On the Toronto Maple Leafs, everyone seems to be so against the Maple Leafs taking everything down to the studs in favor of a smaller reset. What are people watching? This team is so far away from being a cup contender. It's going to be 3 or 4 years either way. So why not gut the whole thing and start over now? That people often think the idea of a reset or a gutting is 3 or 4 years, Dregs. It's often quite a bit longer than that. Hello, we're living and working in Edmonton. I think it was called the Decade of Darkness.
Yeah, look at Detroit. Look at Buffalo. Ottawa is coming out of it. Montreal is coming out of it. I mean, there is a plan that you have to follow. And I'm in the camp that doesn't think they are taking it to the studs. How do you do that with Austin Matthews, unless Austin Matthews comes to you this summer and goes, yeah, you know what? I like what Quinn Hughes did. I'm 2 years out of my contract expiring. I'm just saying I'm probably not going to extend. Well, he hasn't done that yet. And then you've got the long contract of William Nylander, Matthew Nyes, some of the other pieces there. I think they're going to move out bodies. I think they're going to find a way to find a new home for Morgan Riley, who's got trade protection. I think there are some big deals that are coming in the summer, but I just don't think, even though the fans want it to go down to the studs, I don't think they're going to.
If I will say this about the Leafs, I think they got really unlucky in the time when they drafted Nylander and Matthews and Marner and Riley and the core four and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think they got unlucky in that their best was right at the very same time as Tampa was great, Boston was really good, and then Florida became really good. And so I think the window they missed. But if you remember just prior to drafting those players, how bad they were.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it's a decade, and they haven't got past the second round yet.
Yeah.
And they won't now. So look at Detroit. Here's the thing of Detroit. I got a Detroit game coming up here, and I just looked at this the other day. So in 2019, they drafted Moritz Seider 6th overall. In 2020, they drafted Lucas Raymond 4th. In 21, they drafted Simon Edvinsson 6th. So in 3 straight years, they got absolute core players. They're now coming up to year 9, or this is year 9. They've been out of the playoffs. If they make it, the streak's over. Like, you take it down. Great idea. Sounds fabulous. It's with the cap going up. Dregs, what's your free agent frenzy going to be like this year? Pretty exciting.
Brutal. Yeah,
brutal.
Terrible.
There's going to be nobody there. So the only way you can do it is to draft. And if you draft, it takes time. Ryan just mentioned that decade of darkness. Man, they had the number 1 pick 6 times, it felt like. And it takes forever. It's really hard.
There you go, Jimbo Slice. Be careful what you wish for. This one comes to us from Kurt McBurney. Everyone has thoughts on rule changes that could make the game better.
Sure.
And most of them are like big. I like this one from Kurt McBurney. It's a little tweak. I like this one. Hey, boys, love the pod. Listen every week since the beginning. A simple rule tweak I would love to see is this. When a penalty carries over to the next period, I'd love to see the opening face-off of the period happen in the power play end, just like where it is after the penalty is called. This way, the team who has the power play starts on the fresh ice in the attacking zone. So the idea being, team takes a penalty late in a period as the buzzer goes. Why not start the next period in the offensive zone?
I like it. I like that, Ray. You're a power play guy. That's a good idea.
I'm in favor of that. And just because the puck's always dropped at center ice, as it's been forever, it doesn't mean you can't look at something different. This is exactly an idea. I would say the game's great. The game looks good. The game's, they're playing at a higher pace and blah, blah, blah. Could this make it a little more interesting? Like, this would fall into that bucket for me.
Yeah.
Like, what about, though, how about this? So the guy takes a penalty with 1:55 left in the period. So there's 5 seconds left in the power play. And they get a man advantage face off with 5 seconds left.
Awesome.
Somebody wouldn't like that.
I gotta give Kenny Holland some credit. David Poyle was another one. Like, and look, great idea. I'm glad that question was asked by Kurt on the pod because it's quality content. I'm gonna take a guess that the managers have talked about that in the past. Because that's in Kenny's wheelhouse for sure. They sit there in those breakout groups, man, and they come out of there and it's like they've been doodling for 3 hours. Like their pads of paper just covered with X's and circles and all of this stuff. So I'm going to ask, though. I'm going to find out if it has ever been brought up, and we'll revisit this on the pod. That's a good one.
Quick submission from Ryan in Edmonton. What about this one, guys? If you're down a goal late in a game and you pull your goalie and you ice the puck, you're not allowed to put your goalie back in for the face-off. Why would you be allowed to make a line change? You can't do that when you ice the puck. It's happened multiple times. It's happened in the playoffs. Team pulls its goalie, they ice the puck, line change, goalie goes back in.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. I'm going to say this. This has happened and bothered Ryan for some time. Yes. It happened in an Oiler game at some point.
Yes. It has nothing to do with the Oilers.
Oh, it is so. You were.
I think Bob Stauffer fed him that one.
All right. Okay, last one, and then we're gonna get. We got one other one on a rule change coming up. Howdy, gents. This is a question for Ray from the Wayback Machine. Who is the best player you played with or against in junior that never played a game in the NHL? He has some suggestions for you. Byron Lamau, Dale Derkach, someone else. This is coming at you from Randy Pepler.
Well, I didn't play with Dirk. Dale Derkach was a 5'5" centerman that scored like you can't believe. He was just a great player. He was actually a Maple Leaf draft pick. And at that time, I mean, even today, like you look at a guy like Cole Caulfield and like that's about as small as they're getting, DeBrincat. And, you know, Dirk, it was his size that kept him out. I played with a guy who, another Toronto Maple Leaf draft pick in Brandon. His name was Cam Plant. His son actually got drafted by the Oilers in the first round.
Alex.
The year that I got 108 goals, Cam had 118 assists. and he did not make it. You know, like he just didn't make it.
Crazy.
And so I would a lot of my by the way, I've got a dog here that's just had it. I don't know what he wants, but a lot of my, like my power play stuff went through Cam's hands. And so he would be one for sure. One other guy I'm going to give you, second round pick by the Rangers. I played with him in Portland. His name's Randy Heath, and Randy should have been an NHL player. He should have been. Wow. And there's a story why he didn't get there. And part of it was, you know, when you went to training camp as an 18 or 19-year-old, nobody looked after you. They didn't, you know, he's
right.
Young kid. He got dumped in the middle of New York City. He was terrified, and, you know, and he never made it, but he should have been a pro. He was good enough. He should have been.
All right. We had a bunch about goaltender interference. And so you guys covered off a lot of it, but Zuby and I were chatting and he had a quick thought that he wanted to chuck at you guys. It's a sort of an idea that I hadn't heard before, and Zuby's an NFL fan, maybe drawing a little bit from there. So Zuby, chuck it at the guys real quick here.
Okay, I'm wondering if the NHL would consider the NFL rules that they use for protecting the quarterback that are not universally loved, but do make things more black and white, which is basically that contact to the head or below the knee are flagged immediately, whether or not there's intent. And the big key is that the rushing defender is actually responsible for their own momentum, even if they're engaged with a blocker. And this is the quote from the rule book. A rushing defender is responsible for avoiding contact with the passer, even if he is blocked into him or cannot stop his momentum. And you know, as a fan, when you're watching, your guy comes in, he's in a block, falls down, hits him below the knee. You just know, that's a penalty. Yeah, you know, did it hurt him? Did it hurt the quarterback? No. Was it dangerous? You know, maybe yes, but again, outside of their control. So I just wonder if that's ever been considered, Dregs.
So any contact at all?
I mean, I'm sure it's been discussed. Ray, I know just based on international events that we've done, you know, you've got the no crease rule in international hockey. They've talked about that. You know, I had this conversation with Kay Whitmore, former goalie, big part of the Situation Room. And he's of the opinion, within reason, goalies are big, strong men. What's wrong with a goalie getting bumped every once in a while? You know, as long as that goalie has time to reset and play his position and stop the puck, then why is there so much complaining around it? You know, we're not talking about a guy getting flushed like Ingram did by Nathan McKinnon. So I think they've talked about all of those parameters, but I don't know that I think that would be a dog's breakfast trying to figure all that out.
Okay, here's one of them. So what happens when the forward is by the crease, shot comes, goalie extends his hands and touches the forward, so that there's contact? Is that I used to, there were nobody knew the rules, right? Honestly, when I played, like you didn't know what the hell was what half the time. And so I remember being in front of the crease and the referee yelling from me at the corner, give him room, give him room. So you'd move 6 inches forward. And so I'd get into this argument, shockingly, and I'd say, well, why don't you paint the crease all the way out to the blue line? And then nobody could, and then you've made this whole tunnel that they can see. Like, we got to be able to stand somewhere. And the guy that's defending you knocks you off track too. I hear what you're saying, Zuby. I think the difference is in football, the defender's always coming towards the quarterback. And
Right.
in hockey, that's not always the case. Sometimes the goalie is going towards the player. And to me, it would be a tough one to try. Oh, man, I'm thinking of it, and it almost becomes like an impossibility.
It'd be complicated. Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't mean you can't look at it. Yeah. Doesn't mean you can't look at it. Though.
And what people don't know is the likes of Dregs and all the others that go cover these meetings, they don't want this one solved. Because this issue alone is going to keep them going to Florida twice a year until the end of time for these meetings. That is Ask Ray and Dregs. Anything, fellas?
Very true. All right. Thanks, Ryan. Well, let's transition. We'll bring in Zuby because a very important part of the podcast. It is the Tim's Hockey Challenge. And I'm just going to flat out declare that I stink. I stink. I was 0 for 3 again. I don't know what's going on. I've lost my touch and I'm embarrassed. So have at it, Zub.
If the AI who creates the little segments in the podcast and gives it a little title finds this, they can call this part Missed Opportunity. That can be the little headline here for this one, because Dregs came up empty, still at 35 for 105, but so did Ray. This was the missed opportunity here.
This is it right there, Zuby. This was a bad miss yesterday or the other day.
Ryan do?
And Brock,
how did Ryan do?
Nobody cares. That's like relegation where you are.
Yeah.
Brock Besser hit the post. I had him in my game and he hit the post, and I wanted to cuff him when he came back. Like I needed that for the Ray and Dregs. I needed it.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, Schauger did get one. He got up to 21, so he's still well out of it. I had one that day, the Ray and Dregs account up to 120, back up to 29%, and it was my man Drew O'Connor. And I feel like I thought I had put this out there for you guys, and someone even from our last show responded on Twitter to the show stream to me that was like, I took Drew O'Connor too. And of course, that's on awesome. St. Patty's Day, Drew O'Connor, and I don't know if he's Irish, but a very Irish sounding name came through, and got a 3-day heater going because of him.
Yeah, but see, you're the third bucket merchant, man. You get more result out of that third bucket than anybody.
Dylan Holloway,
quite impressive. Quite impressive, actually.
Anyway, we forge ahead here. Ray's still only 4 back.
Yeah,
it's not a done deal. It's going to be to the wire.
Big night tonight, though. Big night tonight. I'm feeling lucky again. I'm going to snap the slump and move forward. So we'll see. We'll have to get back after it on Tuesday. Thanks, Zuby. That is the Tim's Hockey Challenge. So Thursday, as we wrap up the pod, Ray, are you traveling going into the weekend?
Nope, I got a game tonight. Tampa's here in Vancouver. How about Nikita Kucherov? The last player that had as many points in a 45-game span as him was Mario Lemieux. He's got 93 points in 45 games. Like,
unreal.
Every game he gets 2 and 3 points, it seems like. So Tampa's here today, and then I'm off to, as you would say, it's a big one on Saturday in Detroit. I got Boston and Detroit.
That is a big one. Yeah.
So that'll be that's an ABC Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, and looking forward to that too. What about you? You're going to finally make your way back north?
Yeah, heading back. I just got a flight revisal. You've been down this road many times.
Yeah.
Flight is delayed, so I'm going to stay in Florida at least for an hour longer before I get back to Toronto. But no, relatively quiet weekend, and then back into the busy time next week. So we're all good.
Yeah. Well, have a great flight back, everybody. Thanks for listening. Enjoy your weekends wherever you are.
And thank you to our sponsors who continue to support the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast. Tim Hortons, our title sponsor, thank you. And thank you, Canadian Brewhouse. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.